Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Perspective with me, Julie Ali. Now, if you remember, last week we spoke with occupational therapist Amira Hendricks. We were talking about being exam ready. Today we're going to be talking to Junaid Bayat. He is a passionate author, speaker, lecturer, trainer, entrepreneur, performance coach living in South Africa, in Durban. He loves sharing knowledge and helping others on the topic of education, coaching, and peak performance. So we're going to be taking a similar stance on the discussion of last week, but in a totally different direction. We're going to be talking about your future post-Matric. Junaid Bayat, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program. Wonderful talking with you again after a very, very long absence. And I guess I'm going to start off with one of your taglines, which says, stop pretending to be average when you are born to be a genius. How can I or anyone that's just gone that's going to be writing the matric exams and may not get the type of results they're hoping to get actually believe and buy into a statement like that? Assalamu alaikum, welcome. Wonderful to have you here.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Always good speaking to you, Julie, and the listeners and the audience. Yeah, very excited and a very loaded question. If I were to take a step back and, explain why do I say this as part of my personal code, there was a study done. It's called Breakpoint and Beyond, and they tested 1,600 little kids aged 3 to 5 years old for genius capability. This test was done by Stanford, Harvard, as well as NASA. And what they found was, they found 98% of those people had genius capabilities. However, when we do our PhDs, we do a longitudinal study over many years. Every 5 years, they retested these kids. So from 3 to 5, then 8 to 10, 13 to 15, and like that. What they found was at the end of, the education that students were put into, they had actually lost their genius capability. So the question now you ask is, okay, what do I do? Let's look at facts and let's look at reality. Every year, annually, we have more than 1.3 million students register for grade R, and less than half of them actually end up writing the matric final exam. Now, why am I telling you this? In the same way, if we look at, let's just take last year's figures, 2023, 780,000 matriculants write the matric final exam. From there, if we take, for example, let's say half of them, only half of them pass, right? We're looking at a figure of around about 400,000. Now, in South Africa, there's only space at our higher institutes. There's only space for about 195,000 students annually. So if we round that off and say 200,000, we know for a fact every year there's only going to be 200,000 spaces in academics in terms of the higher education. So not everybody is going to go to university. Not everybody is going to get to go and study further. So the question is, what do you do? And that's one of the reasons, or one of the root causes of why we have such a high youth unemployment rate in South Africa. So I believe that we cannot prepare anybody for a career like we used to do before. School, you went to school 10, 15 years ago, up to 10, 15 years ago, you went to school to prepare yourself for a future career. In fact, they made you choose, career paths and stuff. However, now we're living in an age of technology, in an age of information. At a touch of a button, we can learn the latest, development. Now that the world is changing so rapidly every single second, we cannot prepare students, or we cannot prepare people for the future. For a future career, what we can do is we can prepare them with necessary skills that they require to be able to tackle an uncertain or an unknown future. So to answer the question, what people need to be doing right now is, okay, you can't get to school, you can't get to university. You got to make a list of what are all your strengths, your talents, your skills, and basically your passion, things that make you come alive and excite you, things that you like to talk about. And now with technology and the social media and sports and the exposure, you now have the capability to get into any of these things, as well as becoming an entrepreneur. I believe we need more entrepreneurs, especially in South Africa. We need more entrepreneurs so that they are the ones that actually will make the economy run and actually thrive. So what we got to do is build skill sets. We have to keep building new skill sets, especially for all the young listeners and the young audiences out there that are listening. They need to develop as many skills as we can. When you look at the word learn, Learn, the more you learn, the more you earn. So if you take out the L from learn, it says earn. What you need to do is learn as much as you can, especially on the topics that you're really passionate about, the topics that excite you, the topics that you have some kind of skill or talent in. And now start something, talk about it. There are so many different ways that you could monetize that skill, those talents, and then we can utilize that and take your future ahead. And by the way, something very interesting, Julie, is being working with this young generation now for the last 25 years, I find that they're going to change careers at least 3 or 4 times. You're not going to get them as the traditional how our parents and grandparents used to work. They would find a job and they would be loyal to that company for the rest of their life. They would pull years and live there. This generation will work 3 or 4 years in a company. They might get tired and then they say, listen, I'm moving on to new pastures, or they're going to look for something different. And they will go out there and, make a difference. And then after 4 or 5 years, they'll tell you they're taking a gap year, or they're traveling or doing something else. So they're going to change careers at least 3 or 4 times. This is given based on the facts and the research. If you look at the statistics of how many times generation X, Y, and Z now change careers in the corporate world.
They refer to as the slashers. Is that not true? And you're right, they are Generation Z, and there's different reasons for why they will be changing career paths 3 or 4 times throughout their lifetime. It could be motivated by earning more money. It could be motivated by broadening their skill sets. It could be motivated by the fast-paced world we're living in, and for them to keep up with changing technology and changing life skills and life sets. So there's a whole host of issues around the reason why they will be changing career paths over, during their lifetimes. And it has now become acceptable as far as corporate governments, etc., people who employ people. Employers have now accepted that as a status quo. I want to go back to something you said in your opening remarks, and you spoke about the issue around children who were identified as having capabilities of being geniuses or genii. But as they progress and as they grow, it seems as if they lose the genius that they've been born with. Number one, what's the reason for that? And number two, just a remark that I picked up a couple of years ago, many years ago, when we were talking about children being tested to see whether they are in fact, do they have genius capabilities or not? Because if they do, they need to be put into a specialist school to maximize on this gift that they have. A psychiatrist at that point told me that what we don't realize is if we're wanting our loved ones to be recognized as geniuses, we are disadvantaging them, because they then become pigeonholed. They don't socialize as other regular kids socialize, and they can't have a regular life. So your thoughts on that?
First of all, I'll answer the first part, the root cause. What is the cause? And then I'll talk about the second part. I actually totally disagree that they become these pigeonholes and stuff, because they need a balance. And we need to look at 3 main areas for every young person who has any potential capabilities or different skill sets. I call it an LMS, a life management system. But coming back to the first part of your question, what was the reason? And this is going to shock a lot of people. They found that the common denominator for those was that the common thing that was amongst all of these people that made them lose their capability, the genius capability, was they were so-called educated in an educational institute. So if we go back and look at our schools, right? Now, schools are still based on the Industrial Revolution and how it was in the industrial age. It's hundreds of years old. The system has not changed. It hasn't adapted. You know, something very interesting. I did a principals conference. There were about 450 principals that I spoke to. And I asked them, I made up a question. I was guest speaker. So I made up a question that was, I knew they couldn't answer it. And what happened was, they couldn't answer it. And then I told them, okay, do what you always do. And I saw everybody reach for their phones. And I said, okay, if this is what we do in real life, why aren't we allowing students to be able to do the same? Maybe we need to change the way we assess them and change the way we do, testing and assessments, and allow them to use what they do in everyday life. So the common denominator that actually educates people out of their genius capability is the so-called education system. The second part of your question was about what she said, that we're going to put people in, and they're going to be, left alone and they won't be able to interact and socialize. I totally disagree. What they need is a balance. If they have a balance, if they have very high IQ, then naturally we need to actually also increase their EQ as well as the SQ. EQ is the emotional intelligence and SQ is the social intelligence. The SQ and the EQ are the most important, aspects that corporate companies look for. I work with a lot of corporate companies, like big ones, big brands, like I say, Home Loans, Ability Life, Tusogo Sun, where I've been doing training for them for more than 10, 15 years. And again, they're looking for these emotionally intelligent people who have good social skills as well as good results.
Okay, we're sorry to interrupt you, Junaid Bayat, but we need to go for our first ad break. We will pick up from where we've left off and continue this very fascinating discussion, inshallah. Welcome back. We're talking with life coach Junaid Bayat. He is certainly much more than just a life coach. I do need to mention this. Alhamdulillah, he memorized the entire Quran at the age of 14, and for 33 years annually he has led the Taraweeh Salah during the month of Ramadan. And we started out the show by talking post-matric, your future. What do you do if you didn't get the results you were expecting to get, and you're now going to be worrying about what your future prospects will look like? Junaid then responded by talking about children with high IQs. Alhamdulillah, I think Junaid is one of those people, and he's retained his IQ levels. Thus, he's able to have achieved what he has achieved up to now. And just before I hand over to him, I also need to share this with you. He has coached over 140,000 students and over 12,000 teachers and parents up to this point in his life. So he has truly touched many lives in a very, very positive way. Back to you, Junaid, and perhaps you want to respond to the statements I have just made. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, very blessed. Yes, and to add to that, I've coached 14 Olympians, only 2 from South Africa. And I've also been very blessed, alhamdulillah, to have coached magistrates, judges from the Constitutional Court, Supreme Court of Appeal, as well as ministers in Parliament. Right now in this GNU, this 7th government, I'm coaching three of the ministers. Now, my job is not to coach whether it's Olympians, thought leaders, or judges, or even these ministers in their job. My job to coach them is to actually take their thinking to another level, to break down, all those glass ceilings, those paradigms we create, and change the way they are able to see the world and see things. That's the speciality I bring, and obviously also at the same time to enhance performance, to get them to perform at their peak by tapping into their true potential. My passion is about human behavior and the different personality types and how they behave, how they speak. That's a passion. I really enjoy it. Coming from a background of technology, people always ask me, how did you get in this? I always tell them it was something that I was very passionate about when I started in the technology industry. I always wanted to know about people and how they behave. Why do they speak this way? Why do they, dress up? So that was something that was very close. It's very close to my heart, human behavior. And I always like to study it and go through a lot of research and do some of my own research as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about what brings me so close to, behavior and performance.
So obviously you're very interested in human behavior, performance, getting people to their peak area of performance, alhamdulillah. Thus, you have coached over 140,000 students, and you've done amazing work right across the spectrum, including sports people and government. That brings me back to that initial statement regarding IQ, geniuses and IQ levels, and where and how does this fit into the picture of post-matric? So you didn't make it, you didn't get a university entrance, or perhaps you failed one or two subjects, you're going to have to rewrite. At that point, you've already lost motivation. Maybe you'll be one of those drop out statistics. How do you answer that, Junaid? How do you address those situations? Because as it is, we have a very high unemployment rate in South Africa, and we need to prevent those post-matriculants from dropping out of the system.
So the number one thing most people don't realize is if you focus on the results, that's you focusing on IQ. Now, if I were to give you facts in corporate companies no more go to the universities and look for those students with the highest mark, or they're not looking for matriculants who got the highest marks. What they're looking for is something else. And this is what I spoke about earlier on. They're looking for people who have good social skills and who have good EQ, emotional intelligence, people who understand others, who can work in a team, who can be part of the team and the corporate culture. And they are able to also communicate, and communicate their ideas. So it's not all about the marks. I believe what you should do is set out some goals, right? And break down goals. Stop setting goals for long term. You set out some goals for every 3 months. If you did not, you're not going to university, you didn't get a job. Now you need to look at opportunities. Set out some goals, and this can be health goals, money goals, experience goals, whatever types of goals you want to set for yourself, align it. This is all about getting clarity. So the first step in your life is to gain clarity, right? Now, when you set out goals, you getting a little clear. The goals can be different areas of your life. The second thing you need to do is, now that I have the goal, ask yourself, do I have the capability? Do I have the skills? We call this the competency. Do you have the skill sets or the skills, the capability to achieve that goal? Now, if you don't have that skill set, that's one of the things you need to work towards. The second thing you need to look at, now I know I'm crystal clear. Now I know exactly what capabilities and skills I need. Now I need to look at the third part. Do I believe that I can do it? Do I have the confidence in my abilities that I can achieve that goal in 90 days, right? So now you've got clarity, then you've got capability, and now we've got confidence. So those of you that did Psych 101, you'll understand this is basically the competence-confidence loop. They go hand in hand. So you need to believe that, yes, I can accomplish this. I can do it. Then you look at the next part, the fourth part, which is your commitment. You need to be totally committed in going about achieving what you are crystal clear about, because it's your life. It's what you're going to do with your time. And like I said, set it out in 90-day goals. Don't set 1 year goals, half year. I found in the corporate world, when working with performers and people, in terms of performance and productivity, you achieve more when you set 90-day goals, right? In the corporate world, they call it in quarters. In school, you can call it by terms. But you achieve much more when you set out these kind of goals. So you've got clarity, you know what it is that you want in the different areas of your life. Now you set out and you achieve the skills, the second thing, the capability, the competency. Then you believe in yourself, so you upgrade your confidence and improve your confidence. Then we said you talk about your commitment, your dedication. How it's not about just the money. It's about, am I showing up? Am I showing up with my best version, or am I just going there for the money? So you need to be totally committed and dedicated to what it is that you found is important to you. And the last thing is, when you do those four things, you find that you'll have more choices in life, more options. So this is what I call the clarity framework that I teach in my life coach for kids training and my life coach training throughout the world. Gain clarity. If you don't know what's happening in life, you're stuck. You don't know what to do next. You always do this clarity exercise. Do it for every single area of your life. The most important, which is health, relationships, finances, career, recreation, social, and these areas, whatever else, spirituality that's important to you, you add them in there and you do this clarity exercise for every area of your life. You become crystal clear. And there's a very famous saying that I learned from Tony Robbins. He says, clarity is power. The more clear you are about what it is that you want in life, the more powerful you become. So when you're setting out these goals, some basic stuff is, do not set out these ambiguous goals, or they normally you'll hear people saying, I just want to I want to lose weight. You losing weight is not a goal. It's a solution to a current problem you have. Okay, so your goal is actually you want to live a healthy lifestyle. Somebody might say, I want to get out of debt. That's not a goal for me. For me, that solves a current problem in your life. So it's a solution to a current problem. So set your goals in such a way that it actually challenges and expands your level of thinking. Now, let your goals be for health, right? Let your goals be for career, for finances, right? Bills need to be paid, things need to be done. And at the same time, look at the world, look at technology. Now with AI, we can achieve far more in less time. Where before I used to write out, a comprehensive business plan, and it took me 2 weeks to do. Now with AI, we can do it in like 30 seconds or 1 minute. The key about it is most people are not using the full potential of the artificial intelligence. They would tell it, write me a speech or write me a business plan. You got to become, you got to learn prompt engineering. And here's a big thing that I found that's going to be in demand, right? With the amount of data, right, coming from the technology background that I have, with the amount of data and information that is stored online, one of the big careers is going to be data analysis. If you can analyze data, look at different sets of data and analyze it, come up with the patterns and the trends and all of that, you will be highly paid. These companies will start looking for people that are able to analyze data a lot. So look into data analysis. Technology can help you. And a lot of you, what you need to do is, like I said, gain a lot of skills. Look at skills like digital marketing. It's there. It's never going to go away. It's only going to get better. Artificial intelligence, look at prompt engineering, how to actually create the right types of prompts, and technology in collaboration with education. So if you can look in these spaces and come up, brainstorm, you'll find there's always an opportunity. There's always things to do. And worst case, if you still don't find a job and you still don't know what you're going to do, find a business that's already successful, somebody who has a successful company, business, product, and you market them. They call it affiliate marketing. On the internet, they call it affiliate, where you become an affiliate for that person, and now you market their products and you get a percentage of that. So that's also an option for you. So there's always an option. If you're looking through the wrong eyes that, oh man, I'm stuck, I can't do anything, then you're looking through negative eyes. You need to change the way you are looking at life and the options that are available to you. So change the way you look at things. Look for opportunities, not for the obstacles. And you'll find, there's tons and tons of opportunities. More.
All right, Junaid, once again, we have to go for an ad break. We will continue right after that. And I'm absolutely fascinated by what you're sharing with us this morning, but lots more to come. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Our guest is Junaid Bayat. He's a life coach and, of course, so much more. His bio runs for pages and pages, and I can't share all of that in one go. But just by the way he's sharing information with us this morning on the show, gives one an indication of what a genius of a man this is. He is our guest, Junaid Bayat. We're talking about your future post-matric. It could even be post-tertiary, because in South Africa, and I guess all around the world, we're sitting with a unique situation where graduates are also unemployed because there just is not enough jobs to go around. And because of that, we're seeing migration from all parts of the world to other different parts of the world. So let's look at the issue around passion and purpose. You, Junaid, are one of a kind. You are a true genius. Not everybody has your inherent intelligence, and you speak with a lot of passion. How do we actually get people to believe in themselves, be passionate about their purpose, knowing that they haven't done well in matric, or they graduated from university but cannot find suitable employment? How do they go forward?
I created a framework, Juliana. It's the framework that you need to use, right? Anybody can use it at any stage in their lives, not just for those that are struggling. But if you can't find something, you're really stuck and jammed, you feel like, okay, the burden is hectic, I'm unable to pay bills, or I'm unable to contribute. It's 6 steps. The first one is what I call psychology, mindset, everything dealing with your mind, right? You need to upgrade what your beliefs are. Most of the time, we get into this negative cycle and we believe, oh man, there's no jobs, there's not. There are millions of opportunities out there. We need to create our own opportunities. So we need to have the growth mindset. That's the first step. Change and upgrade your mindset. The second step that you need to do is you need to get productive. Very often when people are, they down and they're not getting anywhere, they're not moving, they tend to, even the emotions go down, so they start feeling sad and depressed. The key here is to become productive, get moving, move around. So what do? In your productivity, to become productive, it means you need to maximize your time, right? Be somebody who's using their time productively. And I'm not talking about sitting on your phone and scrolling, watching reels, going on YouTube, watching Netflix. You being cheaply entertained, okay? It's not going to lead you close to your goals or anywhere near your purpose. So become productive, right? Manage your time, take charge and control of your time. We have a very simple, basic time management system in Islam. We've got 5 daily salah set at 5 times. So 5 times in the day, you can be doing something after those 5 salah to maximize your time. I'm not telling you use all the time, right? So become productive. The third step is performance. What are all the things that's going to impact your performance? This is your diet, your nutrition, your motivation, your attitude. Now, your attitude to life is a very, very big indicator of your altitude in your success. So what type of attitude do you need to have to improve your performance? You got to have a winning attitude, not a positive or a negative attitude. You need to have a winning attitude. And if I give you 2 main things that's going to give you a winning attitude. Number 1, be grateful. Look for 5 things that I can be grateful for every day. Number 2, you want to have good self-talk. Talk to yourself. If I tell you, interestingly, the average human being has between 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. That's you talking to yourself up here, right? Now, the sad reality is 95% of it is negative. People go, I can't do it. I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I can do that. They're thinking negatively. So you want to now start having some positive self-talk. Tell yourself, I'm a winner. I can do this. I can rock it. I can make it happen. I'm a success. I'm a leader. Whatever it is. And also, if you want to improve your self-confidence, look at yourself in the mirror. Tell yourself, I love you. Love yourself. So here is the 2 very big things, like I said, is you want to have an attitude of gratitude, number 1. And number 2, the positive self-talk, right? It's going to boost yourself. And then the third very big thing to have a winning attitude is look for everything in your life is an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to improve, or an opportunity to grow. The fourth, very important part now that you need to look at is progress. Am I moving forward or am I regressing? Am I progressing or am I regressing? I need to be constantly progressing and moving forward. The biggest trap that most people in the world are finding themselves in, whether you matric, post-matric, whether you university, even the folks at home, the biggest trap they fall into when it comes to progress is comparison. We want to compare ourselves to everybody else. Stop comparing yourself. It's the number one killer of self-esteem, especially in young people. So stop comparing yourself. Compare yourself to yourself. Where was I last week? Where am I now? Where was I last term? Where am I now? Where was I last year? Where am I now? Am I moving forward or am I still in the same place? Or have I regressed? So the key here is, if you're struggling in anything in your life, you got to change your habits. This is in terms of progress, the 4 levels of progress. Right down the bottom, you got those that are struggling, I'll call it in survival mode. So you need to change your habits. Change what are you doing, how you're doing it. All your habits need to change, because science tells us if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. Number 2, if you find yourself, right, I'm not struggling anymore, I'm just stable, things are just kind of like average. For you now to move one up, you need to shift your focus. Most people tend to focus on, I don't want to fail and I don't want to fall back to where I was. Now your focus is in the wrong place. It's like driving, but looking behind. So now you shift your focus to where you want to be. Shift the focus to where I need to be going, right? And then you'd now achieve the 3rd level, which is generally success. And when you get to success, to go one higher, success is not always what people think it is, because you can have, all the money in the world and you'll feel like, is this what life is all about? Because now you'll find that money is not all. Money is not the end all and be all. So you get this, that the last level is significance. So to move from being successful to significance, you need to improve on your values and principles. Set out, what are my values? What do I stand for? Who am I? What do I stand for? What am I working towards? Where am I going? Your principles and values now start becoming even more bigger and guiding in terms of your life and the path and the direction that you're taking. And then the last part is now.
All right, complete that. And I have a very important question that I need to put to you regarding all of these values that you're talking about.
Okay, so the last part, like I was saying, is after progress. 5th part is, now you need to know what is the process. What are the steps that I need to take to actually move forward? Most people make the big mistake of focusing on, okay, let's just say, for example, it's I need to get a job. So they look at the last, I need to get a job. That's the last step, right? Look at the first step. What is the first step that I need to take to get to the job? Maybe I need to put the CV together. Maybe I need to look at calling up some people. Maybe I need to, whatever it is, what is the first step? Simple things, break it down. Like if you're going on a holiday, if you're going overseas, you need to know, right, I need to book my flights, I need to get my visa. These are the little steps. Focus on that one step. And this will give you a bigger picture towards your purpose and direction where you're moving in life. So those are the things that you need to do. Get the right mindset, number 1. Number 2, get productive. Number 3, improve your performance, especially your attitude. Have a winning attitude. Number 4 was about progress. Keep moving forward. Do not fall back. And then I spoke about process. What is the step-by-step that I need to go about achieving? What's the first step? What's the second step? And then this will lead to ultimately your purpose and your passion.
Okay, so you're talking about, I'm just picturing this very highly driven person that will go after this, whether he or she has passed matric or not. They have this win-win attitude, and they truly are focused, because if you're not focused and highly driven, you're not going to get there. So let's look at the opposite end of the spectrum. Those people who find that they didn't probably pass matric with the university entrance exam, or students at university didn't do very well at varsity, and they kind of almost feel like they're not going to get very far in life. How do we get them to this point, we also need to look at their personality types. This creature that you're talking about now really has a specific personality type. And if you don't fit into that type, are you going to be able to achieve, to push yourself, to be driven, and to be a high flyer and a high achiever? And when someone like Junaid Bayat comes to talk to me about it, I just become more disillusioned and tell myself, I'm not going to get there. He's talking to a specific type of person. Your thoughts?
Very, very true. Personality types learning, is very close to me. Yeah. Traditional psychology tells us that we have a lot of misunderstood personalities. And that is the reason why we have this high rate of ADD, ADHD in South Africa. I don't know if you know this. South Africa is the third highest country in dishing out Ritalin and Concerta, meaning that for those people that are ADD and ADHD. So what do we do if you are disconnected? You find like, okay, what this guy is speaking, this is not for me. This is not me at all. You look at yourself. It's all about the self. I call this me power. You need to look at yourself. Where am I? What do I want to achieve? Do I have the energy levels? Do I have the support? Do I, want to achieve? Because not everybody wants to go out there and be achievers. Some people are just actually very happy working for somebody else. A typical example would be in my life, right? I have 4 kids, and one of my eldest, he's not a guy who's a leader. He's not somebody who will take the initiative. If I gave him a business, he'll probably run it down,
Okay,
so he's somebody.
Sorry to interrupt you. We need to go for another ad break. Please just hold that thought. We will continue right after the ad break. Welcome back. I am talking with life coach Junaid Bayat. We're talking about passion, purpose, and a whole host more. We're talking about genii, we're talking about complacent personalities, and I guess that also leads us to the situation of failure. People who don't make it in life. Does it mean that they're going to be sitting in that little corner for the rest of their lives, stuck, possibly even in victim mode, and just not make anything of their lives at all? And more importantly, the issue around comparisons. How damaging is comparing yourself to your siblings, to your schoolmates, to your colleagues at work? How damaging is that to your future growth? So, Junaid, you were talking about your 4 children, and you were talking about your eldest son, and that brings me to the issue of comparisons.
Look, like I was saying, the different personality types require different ways in which we engage them. And like I was saying, my eldest, he's totally opposite in terms of, like, if you were to look at me and I say, like, hey, Junaid, you very driven, you very, purpose, you know what you want. He is somebody who is like what we call a kinesthetic personality. They go with emotions and they go with feelings. So he'll be somebody who would, wake up at whatever time he wants, do whatever he wants. And when he needs to find something purposeful, he'll get into it. And then after a while, they kind of like, it just wanes and finishes, and then it's gone completely. So with these people, what I tell them is there's a lot of hope. Please do not lose hope. What it means is your personality is very different. You are driven very differently, and do not look for motivation. The biggest problem most parents make is they say, no, my child is not motivated. It's not a case of motivation. Motivation, if you look at it, is just a feeling. It's a state, right? What they need is consistency. So they need to start doing some things, anything. And I tell them, start with something simple, your regular prayers. If you read 5 prayers every day or even 3, right? Get consistent. Suddenly now you're becoming consistent in an action. And that can now translate into, we can use that as momentum. So for me, consistency always trumps motivation, because like I said, motivation is you waiting for the feeling. Consistency is I wake up and I do it whether I feel like it or not. I'm doing it every single day, set times. So you better off being consistent right? And get them into doing little things. Start small, right? And build up from there. And again, like I said, we have an entire generation who sometimes, even at the age of 30 and 33, they still have no idea what they're working towards. They don't know where they're going, what they want to achieve, what kind of life they want. So we got to just, work with them. Do not work against them. And like Julie was saying, we should never compare them to us. Or, because we as parents, we make that mistake. I made that mistake myself. I used to go, when I was your age, I was there. And then I realized, no, man, we comparing. And coming back to that the question of the damage that comparison does, like I mentioned earlier on, it's the number one killer of self-esteem in young people, in people, when they are compared to somebody else, especially somebody out of their network or their circle, So this comparison is very dangerous. We have a habit as parents, we like to fall. It's a trap that we fall into very often as parents. When I was your age or we need to stop that, and we need to focus on them and what they need to do. And like I said, the key is just keep them moving, getting them consistent, getting them to do, like, for example, right, every day you're waking up, you're going to have breakfast at this time. Otherwise, after that, kitchen's closed. Or you're getting them, let's go to the masjid, let's go pray, right? You're getting them to do this every day. All we got to do with them is build consistency. And like I said, the key is getting them to move. Because what happens is if they don't move, they stay one place. They will stay in their rooms. They don't come out. They can stay in their rooms for days on end, So what we got to do is we got to get them to move. And the more they move, slowly we can get them to socialize and talk to others. So this personality type that we have, the three main personality, okay, the three main ones are what we call the visual personality, then you get the auditory personality, and the kinesthetic personality. Now, these kinesthetic personalities are the ones that are most misunderstood lot currently. And according to traditional psychology, it says that only 5% of people fall in that category. I completely disagree. Working with, human beings, especially young people over the last 20, 25 years, working with over 140,000, the patterns have become absolutely clear, and it's glaring. We have now more people that are kinesthetic. We call these people the feelers of the world. They operate, everything operates on feelings. Even, for example, writing. If they were to spell a word, they would spell the word today based on how they feel, their mood. Next week, tomorrow, they spell it very differently. Everything is based on their feelings. So what I can tell you very easily from my research and the years that I work with people is that we're finding that there's more people in this generation now than ever before that are kinesthetic personalities. They're the feelers of the world. They like to be on their own. They like to do things in a different way. We just need to embrace that there's different ways. And yes, if you didn't make it in school, school is not the end all and be all. Remember, you've been going to school to get educated. And then you get educated. The common story we've heard is, right, once you finish school, go to university, get a degree. That doesn't guarantee you a job. All I'm saying is, let's now actually look at different ways. We don't always have to go in there, and get a job. Take that education and now create a job, create a system, right? That's far more effective when you own your own business and you make your dreams a reality, as opposed to working for somebody else and making their dreams a reality. So like I said, again, coming back, whatever your personality is, look for opportunities and create your own opportunities online, with social media, with influencers. Now it's so much more easier for people to, to generate income.
Junaid, let me come in there.
Yeah.
You've touched on the magic word, and I think we've got about 5 minutes left to wrap up time. But you've spoken about social influences. How is that changing the landscape regarding entrepreneurs and job seekers?
It's changed the world completely. You have people now who are, absolutely nothing, and just by being on social media suddenly have, all this power because they have such a huge following. It has its good and it has its bad. Let me start with the bad. The downside is that we have too many followers that people now fall in this pit where they want to be like these influencers. They want to eat like them, drink like them, speak like them, trying everything like them. So now you become full on a follower. We need more leaders in the world. So we need to look at, becoming a leader. We take what the influencers have to offer us and we utilize it. If it's not beneficial, then we leave it and we move on. In terms of the positives, right? Remember, now with social media has made more millionaires now than ever before. So it's giving them this opportunity to earn, right? To some of them to, to give out or demonstrate their talents, whether it's dancing, singing, making things. You know how many people now have suddenly, with this platform, with this social media, and now they've become influencers, suddenly they're now able to showcase their talent. They are able to showcase, their skills and their abilities, and big companies sponsor them because they're getting eyeballs. That's what companies are looking for. They're looking for eyeballs that can, see their brand. So it has its positives and it has its negatives. The big negative also, if I were to go on that side again, is the amount of time people are spending by, social media. That's a huge concern for me. I, for one, I don't like looking at my phone often. I don't carry the phone, at all. I only carry it if I travel. I have set times that I go on it and look at it. So that's another concern. But yeah, social media is here to stay. It's not going away anytime soon. Monetize it. Look at how you can maximize it as well. If you were to offer, look in your circle. Are there any 2 or 3 companies, right, or small businesses around you? Tell them, I'd like to post on social media for you. And creating content now for social media is now more easier than ever before, especially now with AI and the technology available. So turn it into an opportunity. Ask those people around, small businesses, can I post for you once or twice a week? And you can charge them a fee.
Okay,
and
one more
it's
thing.
actually
One more thing, as we're going to be wrapping up in a short while, the difference between a social influencer and a leader. How different is that? And in this day and age, do we still need leaders? I've got about 1.5 minutes to wrap up time. So please, can you just give me a short, sharp answer?
Okay. In terms of leadership, basically what we need is people who can, move an organization, a group, or a network, right? And what this means is in leadership, we need to have visionaries, people who can see beyond the obstacles and the challenges that we are facing, who can see 5 years, 10 years down. They must be able to see deep down the line where we're taking everybody and where we're achieving, where we want to move people. The second very important thing is, as a leader, you need to understand people. You need to understand how, what moves people, what motivates people. So you need to have good communication and good persuasion or influence skills, which falls under communication. So in terms of leadership, become a leader. Start with your own life. Lead your own life. Create a vision for where you are heading in all areas of your life, and develop good communication and people skills, because those are the keys to leadership for the future. And remember, the future is in the minds of the youngsters, the minds of the youth.
And that's where we're going to have to leave it. That's what life could look like for you post-matric. And remember, the key word there is entrepreneurship, because there just ain't enough jobs going around. So that's where you need to focus at. And of course, another avenue as well could be, if you're a persuasive person, you could become a social influencer. Junaid Bayat, thank you indeed for your thoughts on the show this morning. And thank you for making us think through where we're at and where we could be, and to become people filled with purpose and passion. And that exactly are the 2 key words that can get us going. I do appreciate your time. Thank you indeed. Till the next time. As always, Assalamu alaikum and Khudafiz from me, Julie Ali.